He said, I'm stage 4 cancer. I've gone through chemo, radiation. Since I've done these, he said, I get visions. And he said, one thing about every vision that I've ever gotten, they all come true. Could be next day, could be next week, could be multiple weeks. But when these visions come true, it's shocking to me, but they're there for a reason. And he looked at me and said, you're going to win today. Because I saw. Can't make it up.
Yeah, right.
And he said, every camera that I brought to Daytona was spoken for. However, he said, it's my job to try to be in the winning car. And he said, I had another set flown here this morning. In fact, they just got here. That's why I'm here. He said, I want to put them in your car for free.
Thanks for tuning in today for another new and exciting episode from Stock Car Facts, which we try to post every Tuesday at about noon. Or you can watch some of our previous episodes. Here at Stock Car Facts, we would really love to recreate the race day sights, smells, and sounds that we first experienced for ourselves in 1974 at Michigan International Speedway. But unfortunately, that's not possible here. However, we can do the next best thing in that we can share with you what happened at these events, and we can talk to those people who created those memories. Or, those facts. So we'd appreciate it if you sit back and relax and enjoy this latest episode today of Stock Car Facts with me, your host, Kevin Schwarzy. Oh, and by the way, later, you'll have a chance to comment on this content. And, if you haven't already, please hit the like button as well as the follow bell to be notified of brand new shows right here. And we'd appreciate it if you'd share this on all of your social media platforms. Thank you. Today on Stock Car Facts, we're kind of going to do sort of the show and tell, but on the 99 Daytona ARCA 200, because I really feel that was an important moment in your career. And that, no offense to you guys, but, your best finish was second, and then some fourths.
Yep.
And then you became a winner.
Yeah.
And then you regularly won after that.
Right.
And what's the old saying? You got to win one, and then, now you're used to being a winner. Would you agree with that?
I think when you run for a long time and are not able to go to victory lane and you finally get a taste of it, given the fact that it hasn't come easy and hasn't come quick, you're going to work extra hard to try to get back there.
So you weren't discouraged. You were like, okay, we need to find what are we? I mean, I'm sure everybody gets discouraged, but it seemed instead of putting your energy into or your thoughts into, okay, I'm discouraged. Like you were talking about earlier, where's the gaps? What do we need to fill? What do we need to find?
Correct.
And I guess that I didn't pull it out, but it's this photo here. That's 98. Would you say that at the time the funding that you had there started to help? Was the funding better? Because you had Knight Ridder.
So what happened?
Like I said, I think that's 98 in Michigan.
And I spoke a little earlier about being prepared to try to run for a championship. Now I knew going to Daytona for that 99 season, given what happened in 98, which we were very fast. In fact, we led laps. First time I led laps there. Started somewhere up front. I can't remember exactly where, but we were extremely competitive. Had a left front shock issue late in the race. Could have we won? Could have. But it really installed in me a desire to go back and really, really be ultra prepared.
We could do this.
So the plan going to Daytona was And if I can, I can talk a little bit about the Kuwaitan
Sure.
Association. They had a large group of people there that were big race fans. They wanted to start a race program that could potentially attract race fans to come visit any one of their casinos, and they had a variety of them in the state of Michigan.
Greektown is 10 minutes from my house.
Correct. And tried in vain for a few years, to do the IndyCar thing.
Oh, you're talking money there.
And spent a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Had very sour taste. After 2 years, they got nothing on a car. They got zero exposure. They got broken promises. They had fan days that went terribly wrong. It couldn't have gotten any worse. However, the race fans were still there. Mm-hmm. So a contact friend of mine basically put us together, and they, given the sour taste that they had, were, I'm not going to say reluctant to do that.
But human nature. It's like, well, we got screwed for 2 years.
We're open.
What makes us think what's going to be any better here?
We're open to listen to a program. And pretty much laid it on my table. When I went to Daytona in 1999, I did not have them for a sponsor.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I had was the fact that if it goes well, we'll look at the program. And really, that probably came to the fact of what happened prior. Had my name, did not have my name on it or anybody in stock car racing on it. Had them being scorched in other programs. So the day ended up very big for a couple of reasons. Race day morning, a very unique story, but at that time, in-car cameras were done by ESPN, and the fellow that handled them cameras, his name was Lynn Jeffers. If you knew Lynn,
I didn't know him, but I know
big tall guy, and I think if you were in the garage area and you were, you knew what this guy's job was. Of course, there was a cost to do these.
Of course.
Okay. And
$5,000, I believe?
It might have been a little more than that.
Okay.
It might have been a lot more than that. In fact, I know it was a lot more than that. However, he approaches me race day morning. Wow. And I seen him coming to me, and I thought, no. I'm gonna have to blow this guy, because this is this is not something that I want to hear. Okay. He said, I need a minute of your time. And I said, before you get started, Lynn, I said, listen, this isn't what this appears to be. This car looks good. It's fast. I hope we have a good run today. Stop, he said. You have to listen to me. And he had the most serious look upon him. He said, I'm stage 4 cancer. I've gone through chemo, radiation. Since I've done these, he said, I get visions. And he said, one thing about every vision that I've ever gotten, they all come true. Could be next day, could be next week, could be multiple weeks. But when these visions come true, it's shocking to me, but they're there for a reason. He's a very religious guy. And he went into detail about them, and it was a very moving conversation. And he looked at me and said, you're going to win today, because I saw it. Can't make it up.
Yeah, right.
And he said, every camera that I brought to Daytona was spoken for. However, he said, it's my job to try to be in the winning car. And he said, I had another set flown here this morning. In fact, they just got here. That's why I'm here. He said, I want to put them in your car for free. And when I mean the emotion came out of this man, that I was stunned. So I said, certainly. I mean,
right.
What am I going to say? Okay.
Right.
And if you look at the picture of that car, you can see there's getting car cameras on it.
Yeah.
And I walked away, and of course, my brother Bill knew who he was and knew a deal, and he walked away, and he said, what's up? And I said, we're getting cameras. He said, well, we can't afford. I said, I'll tell you later.
Still putting them in.
They're putting them in. Well, they put them in, and we had a banner day.
Absolutely.
We had a banner day, and a bigger banner day than that was the banner television exposure. Predominantly came from the fact that the cameras were on the car, in the car, everywhere.
And looking out the back.
Looking out the back.
At people following you.
Looking out the front. And, of course, and it led to, I'll tell you what it led to. It led to, a week later, they signed for the year. However, in a perfect world, I would have liked to hear that in June or July, getting ready to go for next year.
Of course.
Okay.
Would have been helpful.
and was astounded to be able to have the privilege to do this all year long.
Sure.
To be honest with you, were we prepared? I don't think anybody can. You can't prepare to do a championship run in a week. Not. First of all, not out of Lebanon, Pennsylvania. Not when there's nothing here close.
Right. Right.
Everything's 500 miles away, and it just.
Not even with ARCA's schedule of, Daytona's here a month later. It's still.
Oh, that's correct. It's just very hard. Not only that, it was a tremendous shock to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, sure.
Do you follow me? And it was to be honest with you, if you could have been here the day I got back, and actually I'd left Daytona. Of course, my majority of my guys had a nice party that night, which we're entitled to. I was on my way to Atlanta because I tested the next morning.
Wow.
I had to be in Atlanta. I did a Who's Your Tire test that had to be coming off the truck at 8:00 in the morning, and that's not a real short drive, Daytona to Atlanta. And I got in my rig and drove, all night. Actually slept in the rig and tested the next day and wasn't home.
Did you actually sleep though after all that? Wow.
It's hard to wrap yourself around everything that happens in a day. You just can't. Even though you anticipate and you hope it can happen, it's impossible to plan for it.
Right.
I've never planned for it. I've never guaranteed it. I've never.
You did?
Yeah. There was one. They caught me one time. I did make a bold statement on film that I actually forgot. However, it was in a little bit of a heated moment, and I could talk about that later. But I did pretty much say that we were going to win. However, I was telling everybody that we were going to win, and I was doing that for a different reason. And I'll talk about it now, but in 2012, we were disqualified from the pole, and I won't go into detail, but it was what it was.
Sure.
And we had to change engines, and it was a very hard thing for a group of guys to handle when you're geared up to do this at that level. And listen, I've never seen the wind taken out of 8 or 9 guys' sails like I witnessed on the ride back to the motel the night before the race. And the only really thing I could do was say, listen guys, we're going to win tomorrow. I mean, and I kept saying it, 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 and I kept saying it to talk myself into it. However, I knew starting last, I knew what you were up against. I knew I knew the danger of it. I knew the hard obstacle, given the fact that the race is geared to track position.
And it's only 80 laps.
And a lot of things, but the next morning I kept just pumping it into everybody, my own guys had it. We're going to win, but just to keep everybody upbeat. And as it turns out, Radaball put a camera in front of me and asked me a question, and I blurted it out. And only did I see it months later, and I'm thinking, my gosh, did I say that? And I did. But son of a gun, it worked out, and we did win.
I do remember that day,
and
watching on TV.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes the streak. He's starting last. Oh my God, he's leading, like he always does.
Well, it happened on the last lap. It was probably the most dramatic one of all. There's no question about that.
You're right. That was the last lap one. You're right.
And
I thought it was the. Yep, sorry,
and there's a story behind that in itself. We understood that everybody watched us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Listen, when Robert Yates, Jack Roush came to run that series, they watched one group of guys, and it was a compliment. And I took it as one, really did. And they watched what we did. They watched how we did it. They tried to analyze things. So, given the fact that we were starting last, for a couple of reasons, we chose to pit on lap 1 under green.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Okay. People said that was maybe the dumbest thing you could have done. Why would you do that?
I'm not mechanical, but I'll join the club.
Well, we had a very, very long discussion about it. Decided for probably the biggest reason. Let's look at the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, and we timed it. In fact, in the last practice session, I made 2 runs, coming down pit road, stopping, getting fuel, and leaving, and how much time we would lose, and where we would be. And by the time the race happened, we really had it out that I would be out front of the pack 15 seconds. And that's how it ended up. We really thought the best thing that could happen is in the window, a caution would come out, and we would look like we really knew what we were doing here. However, the worst thing that could happen is we get lapped. Now, out of getting lapped, we're at least going to run up front.
Yeah.
Okay? And we're not going to be in the big one because we're in a position where we're safer than we are in 30th. And that gamble to go a lap down is worth taking given that point.
But you also had the free pass was
okay.
in 2012, right?
So yes. So when the caution came out at lap 8 or 9, we had just got a lap down. I mean, it just went against us. However, we'd already pitted, and it's on everybody's mind. And the window for everybody to take fuel, it was really against it, meaning it might have been a little bit too early. But everybody came.
And TV was saying that too.
That's correct.
Yep.
And everybody came for a lot of reasons. Some of them came because, oh my gosh, he already pitted. Now do you understand? And he's going to be behind us. Okay. But what it did, they pitted, went 3 or 4 more laps under caution. We get to pass around. Now, with 1 to go, we pit 4 laps later than them. Do you understand how it went? Okay. So now I work my way where I ended up, which might have been 5th on the last lap. And of course, there was a couple cars that ran out of fuel, and
There you were.
and I was hearing that. So it's right in front of me. I need to give myself some room in case one of these guys do. Well, it did, and that's what happened. But
Well, the compliment to you also was even, your last Daytona win was that 12-1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Right? Every single year after that, though, you were the favorite.
oh, absolutely,
Everybody thought for sure
we had listen.
you were the man. Every year. No question about it.
The preparation that went into Daytona, that started actually started in '97. The level of preparation that started was a year-long preparation. It led to me in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, installing a chassis dyno in the ground in my building,
Oh, wow.
surrounding myself with the right carburation people, the right engine people, having an affiliation with Rick Hendrick to be able to put the right pieces together, and I'm
Filling in those gaps, like you said.
just closing things up. Do you follow me? And but anyway, that level of preparation, and I've said this a number of times, gave this race team the opportunity to win 15, 16 races here. And we got 8. However, there was a second or 2 seconds somewhere along there. There were some wrecks at the end. There was running out of fuel leading. There was a flat tire leading. So, going back, the amount of laps that this team led there, I have no idea what it was, but
Yeah, I don't know.
we led a long time.
Yep.
And that goes to the level of the people that surrounded this team, from guys like Brian Smith, who put his best bodies on, Jeff Collins doing the best engines that he could do, and then our crew here finishing the job, tuning as good as we can. I became pretty good with weather and being able to tune, again, with the help of the right people teaching me how to do it. So when you ask a lot of questions, if you don't go away, you'll get the answer.
Is that why you think you? I remember because I just rewatched that race, the '99 race on the way down, just to make it fresh. They were talking about how disappointed you were in not winning the pole. Is that why you were disappointed? It's like, man, we had this, but you finished, second to Hunter.
I naturally when we put,
You're always disappointed.
we
sure,
put
but
we put a lot of effort into that race car, and again, that process started with me asking a lot of questions of a lot of people, a lot of engineers, a lot of aerodynamic engineers. Listen, I in '97, I was really frustrated with our performance, and I'm not sure who I asked. It might have been someone in the garage area. It might have been Norm DeGray or something like that. That I started asking some questions, and he just said, "You need to go over there and talk to that guy in the black jacket, because he's the GM head engineer." And I think he was just like getting rid of me, shuffling me away. So I walked over and I tapped him on the shoulder, and son of a gun, didn't I walk into a conversation that had GM's head engineer, Richard Childress, Dale Earnhardt, and a couple of the crew guys.
timing's everything.
And of course,
Wow.
he's looking at me like, yes. And I just threw a couple questions on it that I had. And I just got a dead stare. Got no answer, got no nothing. I walked away and I said, well, that didn't work. About an hour later, I got a tap on the shoulder, and it was Richard Childress. And he said, listen to me, and listen closely to what I'm going to tell you. You're asking all the right questions. Don't be afraid to do that. He said, I've already made a call. I'm going to get you some help. Son of a gun, the next morning, don't 3 GM engineers come to my car. Now, you're not going to fix things there, but that's not the idea. The idea is for an aero engineer to be able to point at things that you are now doing that could be wrong. Well, we gained that day just by making some changes that we could do, and they were changes that were they're not illegal. They were drag issue changes of things not only we had placed on the car but under the car, and that led to a long relationship with the people from Chevrolet. But that started with me just grabbing a hammer and trying to hit the nail. Do you follow me? And I think looking at it, when you go at things, no matter what it is in life, if you continue to ask questions, you're going to get the answer.
Yeah. So looking back at you guys pit early, you take on 2. And
in 99.
99.
Yes.
You take on the 2, and the 1 car with Sean Robinson in it, James Finch's car, which had won that race, I believe,
a few times,
at least twice, 3 times. They didn't take tires, but you still beat them out.
That's right.
And then a couple laps, race goes green, you pass Hutter and you jump into the lead. And that was probably one of the first times you actually zoom, and now I'm the one in control. Can you think back to how you felt? You turned a little red there. Maybe the emotion. It's like I like that feeling that I'm out in front and I'm the one in control now.
If I can elaborate a little bit on what put us there. What put us there was that race car, and
meaning it could do what you wanted it to do. Now.
Absolutely, and that race car. I'll tell you a little story about that race car. First of all, that race car today sits in Brick Hendrick's museum.
I was going to say it was an ex-Jeff Gordon car, wasn't it?
It was Hendrick car built number 1. That's what that car was. And a good friend of mine, Dill Whittemore, when Dill,
the pickle man,
when Dill was having a sale, called me and said, "Hey, I've got this sale coming up, got all this equipment," and I'm a truck dealer. He had a truck, which I wanted, which I bought. He had maybe a mill and some shop equipment, that's what I wanted. And he had an enclosed trailer, which I bought. And I didn't go there looking for a race car. However, that car was sitting there. It was a car that he had run the year before. Got in a little skirmish, had a brand new body put on it. And the body was put on by Ronnie Grayson, who at that time, Grayson was doing my bodies, and our cars looked like twins. Seriously, the cars looked like twins. And I could tell it was a Grayson body. Beautiful looking car.
Oh, very nice.
Okay. Naturally, I couldn't really look at it because the last thing I needed was another Speedway car. But at the end of the sale, nobody wanted the car either. There wasn't even a bid on it. And I said, Dill, I can't. Not only don't I want it, I can't afford it. And listen, he threw a number out there and said, "Pay me when you can."
Sounds like Bill.
Make it leave. Great guy. Great guy. I thought, oh shit. So
Made you an offer you couldn't refuse.
On the way home, I called my brother. I said, "Well,
guess what?
I got everything what we wanted, but I got another Speedway car. What do we want? Another Speedway car?" So, as it turns out, we take that, made all the changes that we were making to our other cars. But that car had a long history of development through GM to be a zero flex race car. And the Speedway at that time was really beginning to get rough.
Yeah.
It had a lot of movement to it. I could not believe the first lap I put on that car. I couldn't believe it. Was like, you've got to be kidding me. You could drive that car with one finger, literally. It had no flex. and it was actually felt like you were, even though the car that I was really planning on running was a brand new Laughlin built race car with an equal body, just like that. They looked like twins. However, they drove unbelievably different. And of course, we put all our eggs in that thing, and come to find out that it was Hendrick car number 1. I gave it back to them when we were done. They restored it, gave it to Rick on his 25th anniversary.
Wow.
Neat deal. Really a neat deal. I was there. It was just an emotional day, naturally.
Sure.
But
Well, and I remember.
But anyway, once I got to the lead, I could concentrate a tremendous amount of time to what was going on behind me, because that car was so comfortable to drive.
And it looked like it.
And it was so predictable. I could go anywhere. I could.
And they mentioned that on TV.
I could point.
Shauna
that,
was mad at you because she said
I could point
you
that,
hold it on the bottom.
I could point that thing anywhere I wanted to, and just plan my move by what was going on behind me. And and rather than listen at Daytona at that time, if you had a car that was fast, it took everything you had to. I'm not going to say hold on, but your hands were full.
Yeah.
Because these cars moved around a lot.
Yeah.
That car didn't. I mean, it was just, it was magic. It really was magic.
And that's before the coil binding and the all that.
It was just a tremendous amount of development went in. I only really heard the whole story about that car almost after I gave it back. and Rick and I spent a couple hours talking about the car, and he had raced it. And the people that were in that car is magical, really. It was a pretty neat thing. Really neat to be involved in. But I ended up getting the car from Dill.
Did he know what he had when he
Sure.
sold it?
Yeah, he got the car from Hendrick, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's go to Victory Lane. Of course, the guys are going crazy, and your brother just gets Gatorade dumped on him, and his back was to me, and I, known you guys forever, and hey, good job, and he grabs me, and now I'm drenched in Gatorade. Like he just starts, yay! And I'm like, oh my god, I didn't expect that. And go into Victory Lane, and it's just I would say control chaos.
Yeah.
Can you remember that feeling? It's like, oh, is it like the monkeys off our back? Is it like, okay, want another one? What? I mean, what
I'll
was
never
that feeling?
listen. I'll never forget what my brother said to me in Victory Lane. He came to me at Victory Lane, and naturally for both of us, it was a little emotional,
Sure.
And he said to me, whispers in my ear, he says, "Well, right now your career is complete." And I paused. I don't remember what I said, but I knew this wasn't going to be the.
I was
This
going to
wasn't.
say, what?
This I didn't
No,
know
it's
this
not.
was gonna be our last trip, but I wasn't done.
Yeah,
You understand? I wanted to continue on. I wanted to race a lot
Now I
more,
want more,
and
yeah.
I did. Sure,
I'm 40 years
I
old,
did.
yes, but
Yeah,
okay, I got this one now. I'm hungry for another one.
but to win at 40 in today's world, in this environment, gosh, you're an old man. You know what I mean? And that's really what happened to a lot of guys in my time, in my era. You didn't maybe get looked at because you were too young, and then
Right. Now
and
you're
then-
too old. Or
and then
this,
almost in a
that.
week you're too old.
Yeah.
And that was, look, I didn't dwell on that. That was what that was. I still felt very fortunate to be able to have a program that I could race as long as I wanted to.
And you control your own destiny.
And I did.
Basically,
Yeah.
And you can tell, and that's why, when I was glad I was there, because I hadn't been to Daytona in 5 years to that point, and a buddy and I decided last minute to go down. So to be there for it, I was very happy because I'd known what you guys had been through, and to be able to I was looking back now, I'm glad he did it. But when your brother grabbed me, a full of Gatorade, at the time I was like, oh God! But now I look back, it's like, I had absolutely zero to do with it, but I felt part of it because it's just so neat just to, you don't just see it, you feel it, I mean, even if you didn't touch me, you can't help but be so, I mean, you're turning red again, just like I'm feeling, because you just feel that emotion. I got pictures in there, you guys cheering, you're full of, the purple and the blue and the yellow uniforms, and then you're kneeling there with your trophy, they're rushing you to get you out of the car to talk on TV, and then, you got the mic stuck in your face with the track announcer, and then you had that podium.
Yes.
All the reporters standing there asking you questions, and this is my day. This is it. This is, well, your day, but our day.
Our day.
But your day, but our day, but your day. But you know what I mean.
Oh, sure.
And it's got to feel great because you're the driver, so you're always going to be the focal point no matter what. And, everybody's talking about Bobby Gerhart.
Yeah.
So I get what your brother's saying.
Yeah.
But no, we got to get ready for next year. So